People, how are you doing today? How is your week? How was your week? How did it pan out? I hope it did well. We've been busy at CIO East Africa looking at different things. And hey, welcome to Deep Dive, our weekly show looking at big stories in East Africa and beyond, and just talking through them and see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. Then we just move on. Yeah. Yeah. How you guys? How you, Carol?
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Friday.
TGIF, yeah?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
TGIF to a whole other level.
Which other level is it?
To a level you can't even comprehend.
Okay.
Yeah.
But TGIF used to be, it used to be associated with a night-long activity. Yeah, but nowadays with curfew, man, there's no TGIF really. Is there?
Not really.
Yeah?
Depends on who you ask.
And there you go.
Yeah, so today we have a few stories. Again, looking at some of the interesting things that are happening, things that affect you as an IT person, things that affect you as a business person. Looking at, like we have a story on the ICT practitioner bill. This thing won't die, and we'll talk about that. But we're also talking about M-Pesa and the Visa card. Yes, you had that right, M-Pesa Visa card. So don't go away. We're talking about that. Then we're talking about Jumia. Jumia, the e-commerce giant, African or not, but it's a East African giant. Sorry, African giant, e-commerce giant. So we'll be talking about those guys. We'll also be talking about Huawei and the troubles that have just refused to go. Yeah? So don't go away. We're with you for another 20 minutes. And please feel free to comment on whatever social media platform you're watching us from. And they also just say, add your voice to the conversation that we're having. So we'll be joined by a caller, Mr. John Walubengo. Is it doctor yet? He'll tell us. But John Walubengo is one of the pioneers of IT in this part of the world, and John will be coming to us via video link. So let me know if John is ready to come to join us. Hey, John.
Yes, Harry, how are you?
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you for the invite.
Welcome to Deep Dive. This is where we dive deep. And this is a very easy discussion, so we just want to look at some of the interesting stories that are happening in the region. And I know you have a lot of things to say about the ICT practitioner bill, and I just want you to give us your perspective, and then we have a discussion around that.
Okay. Yeah, basically this bill has been coming in and out. I think this is the third attempt. I have reviewed the previous bill. The current one, I have just glanced across it, but the objectives remain the same, which is that the ICT, some people feel that would better off along the same spirit that the engineers, the lawyers, and other professionals govern themselves. And so they have put a proposal to set up an ICT Practitioners Institute, where you sort of filter and approve who is a member of the ICT Practitioners Institute, who is a registered ICT practitioner. That's what it means, and therefore has a valid license to practice ICT matters in Kenya.
So it
So
sounds
that's
it
in a
sounds like it's
nutshell. Yeah.
it sounds like it's so it's a bring it's supposed to bring order, is it? And is it so what's the problem with that bill?
Yes, the intention is, but the the challenge with trying to manage ICT the way you manage lawyers or doctors or engineers is that ICT changes too rapidly. So you cannot box ICT and freeze it for the next 5 years so that it complies with a certain way of doing things that they have a council there that will determine. And the intention to say that you want to block quacks or people who are not qualified from practicing is noble. But the implementation of that is not practicable for two reasons. One, ICT changes too rapidly, like I've said, and secondly, you find that the sector is, because of that rapid change, the sector in terms of defining who is an ICT practitioner becomes pretty difficult, because today, let me mention one technology, blockchain. How will this all determine who is a blockchain expert?
Yeah.
When the technology is barely, well, it was discovered 10 years ago, but the implementation is just emerging. So if you try to stop, and I know many youngsters in that space, if you try and clamp down on them and say, hey, you have a blockchain system because I have not licensed you, then it means you're sort of crippling their innovation and putting a bar in front of them even before they work on what can actually be the next big thing
Very
for
true,
the
very
world.
true. Yeah. So the words that have been used to describe this bill is rent-seeking, gatekeeping, fraud. Those are the words that have been used to describe this bill. Well, Carol, I can see you're shaking your head. What's in your mind? What's new, by the way, from the last time that we saw the sort of truncated bill and now we have the full bill? What's new?
Well, I would say what's new is this reminds me of a fashion bill that came out a few years back. And they created this institute and they created a council, and it had absolutely no input from anybody in the industry. So this bill reeks of the same thing. What's new is that now, this time, because you got the even pages as opposed to the odd pages you got in the first time round, is that there isn't any consideration paid to the input of the ICT players in the industry. It is basically just something that's been created by a one-man army, and he hasn't talked to anyone, he hasn't brought in any input, he's basically just on a one-man mission. Yeah.
Interesting. Sid, did you see anything new from the last time we actually had the
Actually, I saw one really interesting thing, but before I get to that, I just want to agree with what Mr. John Walubengo said with regards to how fast the IT industry moves. A big part, the crux of this entire bill is seeking to put a cap on being innovative and being creative. And as he said, it moves too fast for you to come and put like a block or a limiter and license how innovations should go out. So I think that's a very important point. And so something new that I saw about the bill is that it will seek to publish the names of ICT practitioners. And I find that very ironic, considering, let's say, somebody is in the field of cybersecurity and a big part of his position is to remain private or undercover, and so now his name is going to go out in the Gazette, and the people he's going to be going after will see his name, and then he's out of contention for actually doing his job. So
very interesting, thing that happened, I think today or yesterday, is that the CS, Joe Musheru, actually distanced himself from this bill, and he said it's not a government bill, and he's been against it from the word go. So whose bill is this? Who wants to do this?
It's fronted, at least the previous two attempts were fronted by Honorable George Osotsi. Osotsi is a
Godfrey,
nominated member. Godfrey
Yeah.
Osotsi. He's a nominated member from Western Kenya, and he's been pushing this bill. As I said, he feels we need order in the sector, but most of us feel that that approach may be a price too high to pay. If we want to deal with quacks, the best way to deal with them is through market forces. I mean, what gets around? If you give Walu a job and he messes it, he may miss 3 next jobs, but he won't get the 4th one.
That's
because
true.
the ICT community will just start, blacklisting Walu. So that sort of thing may be better off than trying to come up with this bill. Now, secondly, the other rationale is that government jobs are being given to quacks. That's a red herring. The quacks getting government jobs are getting it because somebody wants them to get it.
Yes.
So even if you come up with this bill, I can promise you those quacks will still get the job. And the bill now will begin to sort of impact the people who are really not the target of this bill.
Very true, very true. And there's so there's a petition now. There's a petition, a private member petition, which is trying to stop this bill. The last time I checked, there was like close to 10,000 people who've signed that online petition. So let's keep watching. Let's see how this goes. But I think the industry doesn't want this. And I think it just needs to be defeated somehow. We probably need to lobby some of the politicians who will come close to this bill. So thank you, Walu, for that. I want you to stay on because there's a new kid on the block, and this is the Safaricom M-Pesa Visa card. I know you have a lot of things to say about this. But the first thing is, has M-Pesa finally become a bank? That's my first question to you.
I wish you had brought a real Safaricom guy, because I know I was attacked on some groups for defending their move, and I will continue. I mean, and I often attack Safaricom as the big guy in the country. But for this one, I had really no problem with them partnering with Visa. And I do not think they're a bank, because that partnership is pretty much modeled around the same partnership they have with mobile money. So if you're belonging to KCB, and you're using your phone to access your KCB account, I mean, the fact that it's registered with Safaricom does not make Safaricom a bank. And just because they're partnering with a credit card company, it also doesn't make them a bank, for the same reason that their partnership is sort of under different regulatory framework that is not exactly banking. Yeah.
Okay, so you clearly you are defending Safaricom on this one, but wait, Carol, what's your take on this?
Well, I'm wondering if Safaricom is veering into banking territory, because, for instance, I think it depends on who you ask, but something that separates a fintech from a bank would be who is the regulating body. But then also I would wonder, who do you ask whether this is a bank or a fintech? Who are their lawyers? And who is keeping the money? Where is the money being kept? So I think if we ask ourselves all these questions, we might figure out where Safaricom lies and what their next move is, because this was sort of sprung. It wasn't really something that we were expecting. So I think they're skating very close to the line, but not quite there. You know, they're trying to keep their options open, so to speak.
See?
So I love these Safaricom conversations. The content is endless. They're always up to something. But yeah, I actually agree with Carol on the perspective of where the line is drawn, because, and I like the fact that you mentioned a new kid on the block, but Safaricom is like the parent of every kid on the block. They're just everywhere. So I find that really interesting, considering what is the silver lining of a bank and a fintech. And I think that's a thought that we need to dive into.
So are you saying it looks like Safaricom is playing somewhere in between a bank and a fintech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this is the line, and then they're dancing close to it,
Yeah.
and then they're almost stepping over, but then they're like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing.
Well, so then I ask, so when does the fintech end and the bank starts? Walu.
I think
It's
there
a
are many
thin line.
parameters. I would say there's a red line at the end of the day, which they just have to make sure they're not crossing. And it revolves around taking deposits and paying interest on them. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, you seem to have disappeared. But I was saying the key differentiator with a bank is that they do deposit taking, and once they take your deposit, they can then pay interest on the same. Now, if you look at your M-Pesa wallet, I'm sure when you deposit your 2,000 shillings there, Safaricom will give you any interest.
Yeah.
They're just a wallet, and the real banking functionalities are behind the wallet. And for as long as they keep pushing that role to their partners, who are financial institutions, banks, they'll continue playing it very safe. And I think they'll do that for us.
So one of the interesting things that that somebody said in one of the groups that we're in was that so M-Pesa has this card which you can use to make payments. You can make payments online, pay whatever you want to pay. Then at the back of that they have Fuliza, so which means you can get credit. So technically, it's not a debit card. It's actually a credit card. Carol, what's your?
Well, I did wonder the same thing, because if they can give you credit, then is it a debit card? Are you the one who's, and where is the money coming from? Is it from the banks, or is it from your wallet, or is it from your M-Pesa? I think that there are a little too many little sticking points here, but I think that Safaricom is finding a way to finesse them. And we should just watch them and see what they're going to do next.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be interesting watching this, but it's all the same very exciting to see that kind of innovation. And I think guys have been looking for a new thing from Safaricom for a while. So of course there's been the Fulizas and all this, but something big. From Safaricom, because everybody have been talking about M-Pesa, but even this is M-Pesa.
Yeah.
But I think this is something very interesting that we need to keep watching. So let's take a quick break. Then we have a few more stories to discuss when we come back. Don't go away. So this is Deep Dive. from CIO East Africa. Thank you. Welcome back, welcome back. That was interesting discussion there with John Walubengo and his perspective on both the ICT practitioner bill and also the new M-Pesa Visa card. So we'll follow these stories and we'll keep you posted, updated as they develop. So Jumia has raised 243 million US dollars, and this is about close to just above a year after they listed in the New York Stock Exchange. There was a lot of hullabaloo, a lot of talk about Jumia and their proposition and whether whether actually there was something behind Jumia and whether it was an African company or was it a European company. A lot of talk. Their stock plummeted and a lot of people actually counted them out. But it looks like they have beaten the odds.
Well, frankly, I'm surprised. I didn't expect them to. Last I had, their shares were like $3 a piece. And with their fundraising using the IPO, they wanted to get money for general corporate proceeds. I don't know what that even means and what they intend to do with the money once they get it. But I do know that the fundamentals don't match with what Jumia is happening on the stock market. And I know that the African market, it's not really great on e-commerce. So it's not like this market is thriving for them to stay in it. And as far as I understand, never made a profit. There are just too many things that are wrong with it. If I was advising someone on whether or not to invest in Jumia, I would say wait. Unless you want to take a big risk, don't spend your money just yet. Yeah.
Sid?
Yeah. The Amazon of Africa.
Yeah.
So, no. I feel like, okay, with regards to them being, what nationality they are as a company, I read that actually Rocket Internet dumped 11% of its stake in Jumia a week before the New York stock exchange. And Rocket Internet was a German company. So that kind of also took the wind out of the sails of Jumia. Another reason as to why there's so much it's just chaotic on the information surrounding what they're up to and what they're doing.
But you have to give it to them. I think when I look at Jumia and I look at other tech startups from Africa, I really like what they're doing, and I think they have a very interesting model of funding the business, and that resilience for them to be able to raise money after money after money, very close to how a lot of companies in the US do it. You're not profitable, but when somebody looks at the book value of your business, they actually believe in the promise and they put in money. But interestingly, what is keeping Jumia going?
Oh, wow. I would say it is the goodwill of the people who they work with, and the fact that there are so many numbers in Africa to deal with, you know, considering that they supposedly originated from Nigeria. I think that there is a sense of wanting them to succeed. You know, like, so people are rallying around them and rooting for them, and everybody's hoping that this African Amazon is going to be the thing, you know, because it started out as a unicorn and then it just went down, and then, you know, how are they going to recover their status? So I really think it's the goodwill of the public or the goodwill of the investors. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'd say that a lot of people bank on the services Jumia offers, not only because it is, you know, an online platform, but because it is portrayed as African, and that's a thing people want to bank on. That's a thing people want to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah, I being one of those people who use Jumia.
What do you buy? What do you buy from Jumia?
I buy cosmetics. I bought my phone from Jumia, by the way, and it had to be shipped into the country. I've bought a few things here and there. I'm very much a Jumia fan.
You know, I remember when the Jumia started, there was a lot of stories going around, and the guys used to say, when you buy something on Jumia, they send a border guy goes to buy whatever you say you wanted from the retail shops, then repackage it into their packaging, then deliver it to you. But I think that was because, you see, it's a platform, so you know, they onboarded merchants, and therefore you're buying from a merchant, really. Yeah. But you know, I've been watching how Jumia is operating, and the other day some chapat. Yeah. Like a chapo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So some actually did a post on LinkedIn. Sam is a Kenya director for Jumia. And they're looking for partners in different parts of the country. So they're sort of going into the online offline mode, you know, that duality that we're seeing Amazon also going to. Do you think that will succeed?
Yes, I think it would.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about a market like Africa where people are still warming up to e-commerce, then probably the bricks and mortar, or that solid thing, is going to encourage them to do more business with Jumia. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, okay, this is really
Right.
the Jumia of Africa, as Sid says.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll keep watching.
It's Jumia of Germany.
That's hate speech, man.
Jumia of Germany, of Nigeria, of
And Dubai.
India, of Dubai.
It's a universal company.
Let's just leave it at Jumia.
We leave it at Jumia. Okay, we love you, Jumia. We leave it at Jumia. Okay, just go out there and say you're African. I think Jumia is they're doing a good thing. I believe they're pushing the e-commerce wheel in Africa. I feel like e-commerce is just beginning in Africa. I think we have a long way to go, but this is it's a good start, I must say.
Right.
Yeah. Then troubles. Let me read this. I have to read this. So it looks like the wars of Huawei are not over yet. All British telecom firms are now under order. Yeah, they are under order not to install new 5G kits after September 2021. Really a hard-hitting order for Huawei, who have been actually at the forefront when it comes to 5G. You know, they were the first guys to jump in, and they were the first guys to come out with equipment, 5G equipment, that a lot of the networks that are now using 5G got that from Huawei. What's your take on this?
Well, I think that Huawei should not get punished for jumping into 5G fast before the Americans did. If this was someone from China and someone else from the US, I would think this is professional jealousy. Because really, what it is just a case of stopping someone who's grown so much that you can't catch up. And the only way you can catch up is by suppressing them. I mean, really.
But you see, so a lot of these guys, what they're saying is...
I think that with the change in presidency, we might not necessarily see something happening immediately. but there could be advocates for Huawei who surround him, and then it might be able to change the tone and the pace of how the US are doing business with China.
Yeah. And on that note, we might also see WeChat and TikTok and all those other Chinese apps not getting
because
a
they're
heavy
getting
ban.
blacklisted for reasons that are not necessarily related to tech.
Exactly.
This is when now you see politics interfering with business, and especially tech. And, you know, I think for, you know, I see, especially for the Americans, you know, Americans have always been at the forefront of technology. So it must be very painful
jealousy
for them to see other countries coming up and almost overtaking them. I think we need to do some kind of base research and see how the US now ranks within the tech space.
So something interesting. According to Huawei, the US, Britain, and all those countries are in the digital slow lane. And those are their words. So I find that really interesting.
I actually read an article that said that China is actually ahead of the US when it comes to economic growth, but the media is not talking about it. Yes.
Interesting.
Okay. So I think let's follow this. But what is also disturbing is that the British regulator wants to remove all Huawei equipment from its 5G networks by the end of 20.
Platform. I never expected that to happen.
Okay.
I know that Amazon has actually done that.
What's luxury products?
Luxury products are products like MAC Cosmetics and Clinique. These are very girly products. I'm sure you really don't care about it. But yeah, I have to say that it's really huge. You know, these products that we brought onto the market, they're clearly tapping into a different demographic. And when I look at Amazon also brought in high fashion, and they're hoping that they can actually make money out of that segment of the market. I'm not sure how successful it will be and how much people will be spending money on high fashion on Amazon, but let's wait and see what happens. Yeah.
Sid, you and I need to check what's going on.
Yeah, we do.
What's going on?
So YouTube recently launched an AI algorithm that helps commenters, that takes down comments that are offensive. So I like the fact that YouTube is now buying into artificial intelligence and what it can do to actually make the entire community much safer for everyone, and tie into the community guidelines, so at least like 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds are not logging onto YouTube and seeing words they shouldn't be seeing. So AI is going to be behind that.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us to...
No, what about you? What do you think is going to happen next week?
I'm following up on the ICT practitioners bill. I think that is something that I'm very following closely.
Okay.
I've been monitoring the signatures. Have you signed?
Yeah, I've seen the petition. I haven't signed yet.
Okay. Have you signed?
Not yet.
Okay, go sign it. Go sign it. Go sign it. Okay. We don't want that bill. We need to kill it. So
hashtag kill the bill.
Yeah. Hashtag kill the bill. Kill the ICT bill. Kill the ICT practitioner bill. Yeah, that's the hashtag. So that brings us to the end of this edition of Deep Dive. And thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for keeping with us. And hope to see you again next week. Adios.